let's dive in then. Today, we're looking at a film called Four Mothers, but we're doing it through a pretty specific lens.
That's right. We're focusing on one particular review.
Yep. Our source is a review by Mary Munoz. It was published on Moviescramble, March 4th, 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And our mission, really, is to unpack what Mary Munoz found most significant.
Yeah, to sort of pull out the key insights she had about the film's premise, its characters, the themes.
The whole feel of it, really. So you get a clear picture of the movie through her eyes.
Exactly. Let's see what kind of nuggets we can extract from her take.
All right. So Mary Munoz starts by setting the scene. She mentions Four Mothers is the second feature from writer-director Darren Thornton.
And right off the bat, she notes it plays on a pretty familiar cultural trope.
The Irish mammy stereotype.
That's the one. You know, the idea that the domineering mother thinks nobody's good enough for her son.
Keeps them as boys forever, that kind of thing.
Right. But the review quickly points out the film isn't just, like, using this for laughs or caricature.
No, Munoz sees Thornton using this familiar setup to dig into much deeper stuff.
Definitely. She specifically mentions themes like loneliness, self-esteem.
And building community, which sounds pretty key.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems the film takes that stereotype, that cultural shorthand everyone recognizes, and sort of uses it as a launch pad.
To explore aging, caregiving, independence.
Yeah.
All that complex territory.
Exactly.
Okay, so who's at the center of all this? The reviewer introduces the protagonist, Edward Brady. He's played by James McArdle.
Right, and he's a novelist who's finally starting to see some success. His book's been picked up in the U.S.
Which sounds great, but professionally speaking.
Yeah, but his main focus, it seems, is looking after his elderly mother, Alma. That's Fionnula Flanagan.
And Alma is mute after having a stroke.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where Mary Munoz outlines the core conflict, right? Edward's about to go on a book tour.
Yeah, a potentially huge moment for his career.
When suddenly, bam, he's not just responsible for Alma, but also for the mothers of three of his friends, all at once.
Talk about timing. And the review suggests this sudden pileup forces this, like, chaotic but ultimately really meaningful weekend.
Right, a weekend that puts Edward's whole life under a microscope.
Pretty much. His relationships, his priorities, everything.
So let's talk setting. Mary Munoz really paints a picture of Alma's house.
Oh, yeah. She describes it as, classically old-fashioned, lots of browns and taupe.
These heavy curtains, fussy tablecloths. I can almost see it.
Totally. Dark furniture that looks like it hasn't budged in decades. And the kitchen, dated, maybe frilly bits and old tiles.
But cozy.
But cozy, yeah. The reviewer actually says the space feels utterly familiar.
Like anyone who grew up in a certain kind of Irish home maybe would recognize it instantly.
That's the implication. And Munoz contrasts this lived-in, maybe slightly overwhelming home.
With the alternative, like a care home or something.
Exactly, which she just describes as feeling sterile and strange.
Okay. So that contrast really highlights the weight of Edward's situation.
Yeah, it underlines the emotional ties, the burden, but also why leaving that familiar space feels impossible, even with its difficulties.
Compared to something cold and alienating.
Right.
Now, the review apparently spends quite a bit of time on Edward's character and James McArdle's performance.
It does. Munoz highlights his barely concealable anxieties.
He's quite tense.
Very much so, it sounds like. He's always rehearsing conversations in his head.
Oh, with his mother, his publisher.
Even a podcast host, apparently.
Yeah.
And he writes notes on Post-its. Munoz mentions a real tension in McArdle's physicality.
You can feel that internal struggle.
Yeah. And there's this one quote the reviewer pulls out that just sums up his guilt perfectly. He apparently says something like,
let me guess, something self-deprecating.
Totally. This is the universe taking a shit on me because I even thought about doing something selfish.
Oof. Wow. That says a lot.
Doesn't it? And what's interesting, Munoz points out, is how everyone seems to want something from Edward. His time, his care.
But we never really hear what he needs.
Exactly. So his default mode is this keep sweet approach.
Trying to please everyone.
Right. Which the review says rarely cracks, except for one moment.
Oh.
Which she calls a particularly hilarious scream into a throw pillow.
Huh. Okay, I need to see that. A very relatable breaking point.
Totally. But the review frames this whole keep sweet thing as being, well, ultimately bad for him.
It makes you wonder, what kind of life does he actually have for himself, outside of making breakfast and taking his mom to church?
Precisely. And Munoz argues it's McArdle's emotionally intelligent performance that really lets you sympathize with his insecurity and the just sheer chaos he's suddenly dealing with.
Speaking of chaos,
Yeah.
the arrival of the other mothers, Munoz makes it clear that things escalate fast.
Yeah. She mentions this really striking visual, the camera panning down 4 sets of pursed lips.
Oh dear, like a visual cue that Edward is in for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
The house just becomes this whirlwind of conflicting demands.
And sort of things.
Well, the mothers are wandering around. They need different breakfasts, different activities, hospital appointments.
Constant needs.
Constant. There are bells being rung for attention. And, get this, Alma's text-to-speech app
Yeah.
apparently constantly yells for Edward in the most dispassionate way possible.
Oh my gosh, that detail alone is brilliant. And slightly terrifying.
Isn't it? And then, just to rub salt in the wounds, someone starts reading out bad reviews of his novel.
No. Oh, that's brutal.
Right. The reviewer connects all this back to why Edward is this collection of neurosis. It's just this intense pressure cooker.
Professional stress, personal guilt, and now this massive, sudden caregiving burden all at once.
It's the perfect storm, really.
But Munoz is careful to point out that it's not just chaos. You start to understand the women themselves.
Yeah, she says you see their individual situations. They're all widowed and seem kind of bound by this outdated notion, as she puts it.
That marriage was maybe tough, bruising, and life just dealt them a bad hand.
Something like that. And she gives us little sketches of them. Jean, played by Dear Blah Malloy. She sounds like a character.
How so?
Challenges Edward. Was it the N or the O that confused you? Sneaks out, ditches her walker.
Loves drunken karaoke, apparently.
So the review says,
Brilliant. Okay, who else?
there's Rosie, Patty Glenn, who has an Albanian boyfriend she video calls,
Okay, intriguing detail.
and Maud, Stella McCusker, who,
Yeah.
well, she apparently can't stop gate-crashing funerals,
Right, okay. That's quite specific.
isn't it? And then there's Elma, Edward's mom, Fionnula Flanagan. Even Mute, the review says she's brought to life fantastically through little things.
Like eye rolls. Mournful sides.
Exactly, those kinds of details.
So beyond their quirks, is there a common thread the reviewer identifies?
Yeah, Munoz suggests none of them want to get old, essentially, because relying on others feels like this cruel loss of control, of agency.
That makes sense. And this leads to a really key insight Munoz pulls out, doesn't it?
It does, that there's this profound loneliness on both sides of the equation.
Being the carer and being the one needing care.
Exactly. She contrasts Edward's sort of indecisive people-pleasing with the women's desperate, maybe sometimes difficult, desire to get their independence back.
It's a really interesting dynamic.
And as the story progresses, Munoz argues that Thornton really brings home this theme of community.
That Edward just can't do it alone.
Nope. Impossible.
Yeah.
And neither can the mothers, really. They can't just live in their own little silos.
So it becomes about building support networks.
That's what the review suggests is crucial. So that needing time for yourself, like Edward needing that book tour, doesn't leave you feeling,
Riddled with feelings of selfishness, as Munoz puts it.
precisely.
And amidst all this chaos and demanding behavior, the review points out there's also real tenderness.
Yeah, Munoz highlights a real tenderness in the relationship. She mentions this one poignant detail.
What's that?
Alma grasping Edward's hand at traffic lights.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, just a quiet little moment. But it shows, her burden of dependence is just as heavy as his burden of care.
That's powerful. So even though the women might seem sharp or bossy,
underneath it, the review suggests they do care about the impact they have on their kids, even if they still make last-minute demands or instigate random road trips.
it sounds complicated, like real family dynamics.
Very much so. And wrapping it all up, Mary Munoz describes this definite warmth to the film.
Something instantly recognizable, she says, if you know Irish communities.
That's the vibe she gets across. It's like, how did she put it? Razor-laced wit is bundled up in genuine love and adoration.
Anxiety and guilt are just part and parcel of the experience. That sounds about right for family.
Yeah, and she credits the excellent performances for making it all feel authentic. Ultimately, she calls it a very enjoyable watch.
Okay, so that really takes us through Mary Munoz's perspective on Four Mothers.
A deep dive into her deep dive, essentially.
Exactly. We've seen how she views the film, using that familiar trope to explore some really complex themes: caregiving, loneliness, independence.
And that vital need for community.
All brought to life, in her view, by these specific characters, the chaotic moments, but also that underlying tenderness.
And she does mention it premiered at the Glasgow Film Festival, and it's set for a UK and Irish cinema release on April 4th.
Good to know. So as we finish our exploration of her view, maybe here's something for you, the listener, to sit with.
A final thought.
Yeah, drawn from what Munoz found so compelling. If caregiving really is this complex dance burdens on both sides, that push-pull between agency and dependence, needing community to even function, what does that really tell us about the true cost, maybe the hidden cost, but also the value of caring for others and, importantly, for ourselves in any context, really?
That's a big question.
It is. What aspect of that whole dynamic stands out most to you? Something to think about.